I'm not proud of this. Writing it feels like peeling back skin I'd rather keep covered, but maybe putting it here will stop it from gnawing at me every night. I was 34 when I made the worst professional and personal mistake of my life. I had a steady job at a mid-sized company. The work wasn't glamorous, but it paid well, and I had a wife at home who, at least at the time, I believed I loved in my own quiet way. Our marriage wasn't bad, but it wasn't good either. It had gone flat, like a soda left open too long, the sweetness still there but no fizz. That's when she arrived. Let's call her Elle. She was new to the department, confident, bright, always cracking jokes in meetings that made people laugh even when the deadlines were suffocating us. She had this way of listening, of leaning in just enough to make you feel like you mattered. I hadn't felt that in a long time. At first, it was harmless. Lunch breaks together. Banter on Slack that carried a bit more spark than it should. She'd ask me about my weekend, and I'd find myself exaggerating stories just to keep her attention. When she laughed, it felt like someone had turned the dimmer switch on my life up a few notches. Then came the late nights at the office. A project kept us both past midnight, and we ordered pizza, split a bottle of cheap red wine someone had left in the fridge. One thing led to another, hands brushing, a kiss that lingered, a silence filled with everything we weren't saying. After that, it escalated fast. 2 nights in a hotel during a conference trip. Stolen kisses in stairwells. Text messages that I deleted as soon as I read them. The thrill was intoxicating, like we were in some movie where rules didn't matter. For a while, I convinced myself I was alive in a way I hadn't been in years. But reality has a way of clawing through illusions. Rumors started. A colleague mentioned seeing us holding hands in the parking lot. HR called me in for a routine check-in. But the folder on the desk was already too thick to be routine. I knew then that whispers had turned into reports. I should have stopped it earlier, confessed to my wife, salvaged what I could. Instead, I panicked. Elle panicked too. She confessed everything, painting herself as the victim of my persistence. I don't even blame her. It was her job on the line, her career just starting. I was disposable. I was fired. Walked out with a box of my belongings while people pretended not to look. The shame of that moment still burns, the sound of my own footsteps down a hallway I'd walked 1,000 times, now echoing like I was a ghost already erased. Telling my wife was worse. She didn't scream. She didn't throw anything. She just went quiet in a way I'd never seen. That silence was heavier than any anger could have been. She asked me one question. Was it worth it? I had no answer, because even then I knew the truth, it wasn't. We separated a week later. I moved into a studio apartment with peeling wallpaper and a bed that groaned louder than I did. Friends disappeared. Some took her side, some just didn't want to pick sides, which is really the same thing as leaving. My life shrank to the size of 4 walls and my own regret. Regret is a heavy roommate. The first few months were a blur of self-loathing and denial. I drank more than I should have. Ate less than I should have. Scrolled endlessly through social media, torturing myself with pictures of her smiling with mutual friends, carrying on as if I never existed. I kept waiting for the apology that would never come. Not from her, not from Elle, not even from myself. The turning point came in the most mundane way. I was in line at the grocery store, buying instant noodles and beer, when I saw a father with his daughter. She was maybe 6, holding a stuffed rabbit, asking him why carrots were orange. He answered patiently, smiling, like that question mattered more than anything else in the world. Something broke in me then. I realized that my life had become so small, so selfish, so poisoned, that I couldn't even imagine being the kind of man who had answers for anyone. That night, I put down the bottle and picked up a pen. I started writing, not to anyone, just to myself. The first entry was a single sentence. I don't want this to be the end of my story. It wasn't poetic, but it was honest. I reached out to a therapist. The first session felt like confessing to a stranger who held my worst secrets in her lap and didn't flinch. She asked me why I thought I'd cheated. I said because my marriage was broken. She shook her head. No, she said. You cheated because you were broken. That distinction gutted me, but it was the truth I had been running from. Over months, I started piecing myself back together. I ran in the mornings, even when it felt pointless. I learned to cook something other than noodles. I called my mother more often, apologized for disappearing into my own shame. Slowly, the fog thinned. My wife never came back. She moved on, and I don't blame her. But we talk now, sometimes, gently. About bills, about mutual friends, even about books we used to share. Once, she sent me a recipe I'd always loved, just because she thought I'd like it. It wasn't reconciliation, but it was something kinder than I deserved. As for Elle, she stayed at the company, as far as I know. We don't speak. I don't stalk her profiles anymore. I realized that keeping tabs on her life was just another way of chaining myself to my worst mistake. A year later, I'm still alone. But I'm different. I don't look for validation in someone else's laugh. I don't chase the thrill of secrecy. I've learned to sit with my own emptiness and not run from it. It's not glamorous, it's not dramatic, but it's real. The affair cost me nearly everything I thought mattered: my job, my marriage, my reputation. But maybe, in the rubble, it forced me to face the one thing I'd been avoiding all along: myself. I'm not redeemed. I'm not healed. But I'm here. And maybe survival, quiet, unremarkable survival, is the first step toward building a life that won't collapse the moment someone else smiles at me.